gay agenda strolling down the avenue. What in the hell? What am I talking about? Well, it's been a few weeks, 2 to be exact. It seems like an eternity since we've last been together and chatted, so I welcome you to a very real ass couple of weeks. Another episode of your favorite podcast, and obviously mine, 21st Century Rocker Mom podcast, with me, your host, Tanya Candler. What do I have in this cup today? You'll never know. You'll never know. Now, if you're wondering about my shirt, it's bright orange. It's worn to support Indigenous people in residential schools for the International Day of Peace and Reconciliation and Truth and Reconciliation. And I'm wearing that in support of that. We'll talk more about that later. But I really think, I'll explain this, but I'm not going to go into depth because I really think that you should probably on this matter be listening to Indigenous voices and Indigenous stories and Indigenous experiences about this and such things. And those are the folks that you want to listen to when it comes to things like Every Child Matters and Orange Shirt Day. I just think when it comes to Indigenous history, an Indigenous person should be telling you about their history, not some white lady. Just my 2 cents. A white lady in rainbow running shoes walks past my old high school. And what happens? Oh my God, all fucking hell breaks loose. Because all hell fucking broke loose 2 weeks ago, just about a week and a half ago maybe. Yeah, well, Doug Ford had his million walkout to protect children. Let's have 1 million people walk out of school so we don't have inclusion in schools and don't teach children that, gay people exist. So but for the 1 million that he had walk out and had this march against gay people and gender ideologies and things that he calls, those are his terms. There was 1 billion people that marched for inclusion. So you took that one in the nuts, Dougie. However, so I walked past my old high school and there's a fucking protest that Wednesday or whatever it was. And there's a bunch of what I would like to call baby Proud Boys, on their dads, pickup trucks, on the back of it, with big signs that all say fuck gender ideology. And I forget, of course, that I'm wearing a rainbow shirt. I got rainbow shoes. I'm always walking on sunshine. I'm out of school 90% of the day now. So I'm always wearing something with a rainbow on it or something colorful, just because the kids are oh, it's fun. Kids love it, right? So, and if you can't make kids happy, come on. So anyways, it didn't make these kids happy because a few of these boys, and I will say boys because they were under 18, they got all up in my fucking face. And they didn't want to let me cross the street to go to the mall. I'm what's your deal? What the fuck's with your shirt? What the fuck's with your shirt? I'm just to love everybody. What's the problem here? Oh, fuck you and your indoctrination and your gender ideology. And do you believe in all this shit? And I'm what shit? I'm clear this up for me here. Number one, I was what gender ideology? What's ideology? None of them knew. No surprise there. Sounds about white. And that plaid shirt don't hide that redneck big time. A few of the kids didn't even know why they were there protesting against LGBTQ two-spirit, the queer community, and trans community. They didn't know why they were protesting their rights. They're protesting against having rights in school, into inclusion and stuff like that. They didn't know why they were doing that. And there was a small group of kids that were counter-protesting. And the teachers and the cops they just fucking stood there. I mean, the cops did what they do. They created a presence. And then 3 kids that I saw personally, 3 kids got fucking attacked, like jumped by groups of people. One was like the tiniest little person, like so small. And they're like 15. Like 2 other kids too. One got their glasses smashed. All because like someone had a rainbow sticker on something. It's like, or like on their binder or whatever, you know what I mean? Like a few kids like identified like fully as being like in the like queer community. And so these kids didn't like that. And then at the end of it, like they chased a man down the sidewalks. He's like, stop your hateful protest. Like, what are you doing? He's probably like 80 years old. He had like a wheel cart and everything like that. Probably like a veteran. And they like chased him down the sidewalk. That was fucking really fucking disrespectful and cool. And they were on the side that like wants to take inclusion out of schools and not tell kids that gay people exist. Like, so I talked to a few of these fucking little kids because that's what they are. They all live at home with their parents. They don't have jobs. Not adults, even if they are 18. They're fucking little kids. I said, so what do gay people and trans people, like, how do they affect you? How do they affect your life? Like, they couldn't tell me. They're like, so why are kids like being told they can be whatever they want to be? I'm like, are you in public schools? They're like, no. I'm like, well, I am every single day. And they're not teaching like little kids to, hey, go do this and go be transgender or go do this. And they're saying like, be who you are, like, but at a gender, age, brain development appropriate level. Like when they're in kindergarten, they're not teaching them the same thing they're teaching them in grade 8. Like, get your fucking head examined. Leave our kids alone. No, like, honestly, leave our kids alone. They're not being indoctrinated. What do you think being indoctrinated is? Exactly the same thing that happened to these little baby Trumpers at home. Why they're standing on the back of daddy's pickup truck saying things like fuck gender ideology, fuck faggots, fuck queers, all the you know, classic slurs against the, you know, the community, you know? It's just bullshit. Small-minded bullshit. But honestly, these baby Proud Boys were so bad. I saw kids get like beaten and sent to the hospital. And like I say, like I waited with a few kids and the cops. Like I say, they did not, the cops didn't give a fuck. Like they did nothing. And like I told them who it was. There was one kid who was super identifiable. The principal of the school could identify the kid. I think he got a firm talking to. But they didn't charge him. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me after what he did? Cool. But then like the investigating sergeant shows up. He's like, oh, and one like cop's like, I gotta call my sergeant. This is like the investigating sergeant. He shows up and so of course he says something and I'm like, he's like, who's the ringleader? I was like, oh, that kid over there's the ringleader. He's like, oh, that's my nephew. I'm like, sounds about white. And it was, because that's basically what it was. It was a bunch of white kids protesting everything from being gay to being black. Like, it was disgusting, really disgusting. But it was, you know, like the cops did what they did, and they turned a blind eye to marginalized groups and looked on as they got assaulted, harassed, bullied, spit upon, you know. And so did staff of the school. They just stood there and fucking watched. And like, if I was a parent of that school, like my kid went to that school and my kid was involved that day, I would be lawyering the fuck up against the school and the cops. Not so much the mall, because the mall can't do anything, because it wasn't like technically on mall property, but it's on school property. And I mean, it's by the mall. Like, so the fact that the cops did nothing, and the school did nothing is pretty shitty. And these kids are afraid to talk because they're afraid they're going to get worse, which is really bad. It's really bad. I just think every kid needs to feel safe at school and needs to feel safe when they go to school, and like has to feel free of being attacked, like physically, especially when they go to school, like verbally and physically and emotionally, all the ways. Like, just go to school and be free to learn. Like, that's what you're there for. Not to be hosed all the fucking time. It's terrible. Talk to these kids. They have no idea, like, what's being taught, like I said, at school. When you talk to them, they have no idea. They have no concept of what's going on. They use the term indoctrination so freely. These kids are being indoctrinated. It's indoctrination. It's indoctrination. They're being indoctrinated. I'm like, just like you were indoctrinated with hate, like, growing up. So, like, you didn't come out like this. You didn't come out hating gays, like, or hating trans people, or hating black people, or hating indigenous people, or whatever you're bitching about that day. They were also bitching about hating Muslim people, because that day they were arguing with a bunch of Muslim students that observe Islam as their faith, and the queer community is kind of frowned upon in that faith as well. But they and like these other like white pride kids got in a fight too. It was just like everyone was fighting. I'm like, you're fighting about you're protesting the same thing, but you're fighting each other now. Like, what is this about? It's like, I think you guys just want to get angry and get fucking punchy with each other. I'm telling you, I'm in the school daily, and what's being taught is not what these 1 million people to save our children are thinking they're being taught. Then we got 1 billion people to actually march against this and march for inclusion and for this being in the schools, and, you know, all gender bathrooms being in the schools, and making sure everyone's invited and everyone gets a ticket to the party, and it's like admission for all. Because that's like, come on, like, let's be a little bit more inclusive. Like, maybe that would help things. I don't know. Just me. I think people like me who really believe in wanting to protect our kids' rights, like their mental health, their bodily autonomy, their knowledge. Like, I don't want them to not know anything. You know what I mean? I don't want them to be those kids that are like, that's a what? You call that a what? You know what I mean? I want them to know. I don't want them to be that stupid kid who just fell off the turnip truck. Like, holy smoke. I want them to wake up. Aren't these things that we should be teaching our kids anyway? Like self-respect, body autonomy. You know, you shouldn't touch me there. That's a bathing suit part. You know, any part that your bathing suit covers. That's what they're teaching in school. Like, in terms of here's what they're teaching in terms of transsexuals in kindergarten. It's like, don't let anyone touch you where your bathing suit covers. Like, that's what they're teaching. They're teaching body safety. Like, that's about that. That's where, as far as it goes. That's there's the indoctrination that your kids are being indoctrinated with. Yeah. Fuck. They're not being indoctrinated at all. When we were little kids, we got fucking fingerprinted and shit. So in case we got taken and shit from schools. It was fucked when I was a kid. Like, it was fucked. Like, being like an 80s kid, like, holy shit. Like, we survived a fucking lot of shit. Like, are we okay right now? Yeah, I guess we are. But fuck, we survived some shit. All these little baby proud fucking boy MAGA douches on their little daddy's trucks and shit. It's redneck bullshit. A lot of them don't even know why they were there. One kid just like literally said to me, I said, you know, why are you here, honey? Like, why don't you go home? He's like, oh, I don't know why I even came to school today. My mom told me not to come to school, and these guys were doing this, so I just joined in. I'm like, you just joined in and you didn't even know what was happening. To you, child, I'm terrified when you vote. I'm terrified. So I wanted to feel better. I wanted to go where everybody knows my name. Bow, 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 bow. When we always feel the same. No, I wanted to go somewhere where I was going to be happy, where I felt good. And where can you go that's got great vendors, great music, great community, it's great food, great grub, great company, great friends, inclusion, drag queens? Like, where can you go? The skateboarding demonstrations? You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about? Punk rock flea market. London. It's been going on for 7 years, I think, in town now. So, since I am sans license, I'm license free. My mother-in-law, who's never been to a punk rock flea market before, and I wasn't vending, he was on the other side of the tent, Tanya. So excuse me, I have post-nasal drip this week. The kids have got stuffy noses and stuff. So of course, like I'm getting like raped in the face, like with coughing. So I think I'm fucking with my lav. I'm getting like, yeah, so I'm totally getting raped in the face with coughing. So I might have a little bit of a stuffy nose, so we'll see what happens. But like, since I don't have my license, my mother-in-law took myself and the kids downtown to go to the punk rock flea market. And it was her first punk rock flea market, and she actually loved it. And so did the kids. So the drag queens and the bands and the skateboarding demonstrations and the people and the tents and the vendors, and they loved everything. They thought it was fun. They had a blast. Like they had an absolute blast. My kids like will tell me if something sucks. Like they'll be like, Mom, they're like, this is like weak. Like we've been to festivals before. Like I think I took it was the folk festival, and there weren't very many vendors. And it was like the same weekend as I was doing a punk rock, like I was doing a punk rock flea market, and it was like a mini, I think. And I said, well, let's go walk around folk fest or whatever, like the one night or whatever. And the kids were like, yeah. I'm like, what? Like, this is kind of weak. I'm like, yikes. I was like, okay, we're going to the car. All right, guys, let's pack up and go. Like they'll tell me if something sucks. So they had a good time at Punk Rock Flea Market. They got lots of stuff. Like I let them spend all my money. And of course, Grandma let them spend all her money. Like I can say, like whether you're going or vending, you're going to have a blast. That's the thing about punk rock flea markets. And punk rock flea markets everywhere generally are really good. They're a big thing here, like in Canada at least. And they're awesome. So I actually got something more fun. I was actually telling someone this the other day. For my flea markets, so when I do markets, I got a cotton candy machine so I can spin cotton candy, because cotton candy and beards, like what the fuck could go wrong? I just want to bring back fun, because you remember fun? It's fun. What could go wrong with beards and cotton candy? All that sticky cotton candy and all those beards. What could go wrong? That's it. Beards and bitchin'. Oh my God. I released the fall lineup and limited soap, and it's been selling like hotcakes. I'm almost out of soap. I feel like I'm at the point where I might have to make, I said I wasn't going to make any more soap for the season, but I might have to, because the way orders have been, like I had to, after the first day that I dropped the fall scents, I had to immediately I panicked because the orders were so huge that I had to reorder more labels, which will be in this week, thank frick, for all the scents, because they like pretty much sold out, almost all the way sold out as soon as I dropped them. Like the first day I was panicking, and I ordered all the labels for all three again. And like the soap's now down to, I think I have like maybe 3 bars of it left. So I don't know if I'm going to make any more or not, because there is a time where I'm going to be gone. And so I won't be shipping with Rockaholic for like a week and a half. The company will be closed, and I'll have nothing going down. So if there's a Halloween scent you want, fucking jump on it now. Because from like October the 12th to like the 24th-ish, like I'm going to be gone for like, I don't know, like 2 weeks. I'm going to Florida, so we'll talk about that later. But like I say, I did not appreciate the full-on love of Halloween and beardom. I had no idea. I'm actually hoping to see a few of my bearded brothers like really soon. So like 2 or 3 weeks like soon. So I'll see them then. I really want some good orange juice. I want orange juice. I want sunshine. I want palm trees. I want all these things. So I decided to head south and go to Florida. That's why I said I'm going to see a few of my bearded brothers, because a few of my bearded brothers live in Florida. So that's where I'm going. And I will be there in the Sunshine State for quite a few days. And quite a few of you, you know who you are. I will see you there in Florida while I'm there. So I'm going to smuggle some oils down as I eat my way across America, all the way across America. I'm going to stop at the best food places, because I'm going to have to drown my sorrows as we go. And like my end game is Disney World, right? Because like that's where we're going, like for the trip, and we always stop like in between, right, and go to fun places and whatever. And I am a foodie, obviously. That's my belly. No, so like I love to eat and I love to go to different restaurants and see where we can go. Like places that we don't go generic ass places. I love Cheddar's. Cheddar's is one of my favorite places to eat when I go to America. So I love Cheddar's because everything's like Scratch Kitchen and stuff like that. There's like a wing place that I like there too, but I can't remember what it's called. I go there in Ohio all the time and I can't remember. Anyways, like I say, the one downside. And this is a crying shame. I almost want to cry about it right now. The one downside, the one going downhill thing about me going to Florida is none of the states, with the exception of Michigan, that we're going through. And we don't really stop in Michigan. We just drive through to go to Ohio, right? Because we stop in Columbus usually the first night. And none of the states we're going to have legal marijuana. That blows. So it's like I have to like drown my fucking sorrows in chicken and dumplings. I get so like hungry on vacation because like number one, I don't have to cook or clean. So I'm here to eat. Fuck this. I'm here to eat. Fuck everything. I love it because I love Disney World. I love it because that's the end game. I'm sold. You know, I mean, if I can't have weed for 10 days, it's not really the end of the world. My pain's really bad, and I will not take painkillers. So I just kind of like suffer through it. But like seeing like the happiness like on my kids' faces, like, and like how happy myself like I am, and how happy Rob is. Like we're at Disney World and we're kind of shut off, and it's just family time and stuff like that. That's fun. You know what I mean? I like that, and I have nothing but like happy memories at Disney World. Like I have nothing but happy memories there. And I think that I really appreciate that. And I love being in that kind of atmosphere. I don't think it's like an age thing or a gender thing or a culture thing or a race thing or anything. Just like everybody belongs like at Disney World. It really is like the happiest place on earth. I guess that sounds so stupid, but it's so true. It's true. I literally can't wait to eat all the things. I've been watching Disney Food Blog like fucking crazy. Thank you, Alex. I love Disney Food Blog. Because I'm a foodie, obviously. And I've fallen, actually, speaking of beards, I've fallen for this YouTube channel called Beard Meets Food. And it is a bearded gentleman who puts two of my favorite things together, beards and like speed eating, and he eats fucking eating challenges like crazy, and he fucking downs food so quick, and he doesn't get it caught in his beard at all. He's an English fellow. Lovely guy. So since I've been watching him and his beard so much, and I've been inspired to put out another line. It's like between that and like talking to a lot of my bearded brothers about our favorite bands. I'm finding out a lot of us like the same bands the more and more we talk. And one particular band pops out. It's funny that I say pops out at me. And I don't know, maybe I'm going to tell you a story first. And then I'm going to see how like my eyes lit up like it's Christmas? Because it is Christmas. I will tell you. So the first story is like, this is the story. So guess the band. So I'm going to put a band line out at the grooming company. And people have been like chomping at the bit for this band line since I opened. And I'm going to put it out. But it's going to come as a 4-pack. Because that's the way it is. And I'm not doing band members. I'm doing songs. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. Now, here's the story. One night, record company. We had an exec at the record company who used to work at Chrysalis Records back when Blondie did like Heart of Glass and was really big and did like parallel lines and stuff like that. And he and his mother came. He brought his mother. I think he's getting divorced, like to a Christmas party or something one night. And his mom was like 60 at the time, like younger than like my mom is like now. And she came out to this party as his date, and he's like, I don't know, 30, and we're like young at the time. I was like 15. And Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley show up. I didn't talk to them because I was like terrified, right? I was like young and not like that. I was like, I'm not this cool. I can't go talk to them, so whatever. And at the end of the night, She ended up getting the tongue. This guy's mom, who was 60 years old, ended up getting the tongue from you-know-who, the bass player. I say Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons. And if you don't know who I'm talking about right now, I'm doing a box set of America's hottest band, Kiss. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing a box set. Everything is ready to go. Names are picked out. The labels are done. The set profiles are done. Like, I'm ready to go because I picked out song sort of profiles instead of like people profiles and member profiles, because I don't want to get my ass sued by, like Gene Simmons, anything. You put Kiss on anything and fucking you're done. See ya. So there are ways around things and profiles of different bands. I just don't know if it'll cross-pollinate well with my holiday drop, because I've obviously got holiday scents like coming as well too, like for Christmas and stuff like that, and the holidays. And I held back on the buttercream drop because I think people are going to need like a one and done and more around like the holidays and as the weather gets cooler. And I don't want to drop too many products at once, like, because butter's great for like right now still, wherever you may be. Like, butter is still like an awesome thing for your beard. And if you like butter, grab a butter. I've got like 2 ounces. They're not badly priced, so grab one if you need one. If you don't, stick to just plain oil, like whatever you need. But like I say, the Halloween ones are limited, and then they're going to stop shipping for a little bit, so you won't be able to get them before Halloween. So if you want them before Halloween, like order before like the 12th, or don't, and don't get them before Halloween. Your choice. Now, the holiday drop, speaking of the holiday drop with the company, that may include a collaboration with one beardsman and one beardsman only, and he knows who he is. We always have fun together, and we always like, we can bounce ideas off each other like really like easily, and we have a good friendship and stuff like that. So if I do a collaboration, it'll be with this one person, and I'm leaning towards like doing it obviously because I'm kind of a lady of my word, and if there's one person I could collaborate with, this person is fun. So I'm actually looking forward to that and seeing what their ideas are, and like, them seeing what my ideas are, because I haven't dinking around. Of course, like, I have my holiday scents, like, they're done, because that's how I am. I'm already there in my head. Like, Halloween's like, they're out. So what do? I work on holiday scents, because that's what I do. That's what I do. The golden nose. And like, I think the buttercream's going to come out first in like holiday scents. I think I'm going to do maybe like 2 different scents available in buttercream per month. So buttercream's always available, but I'm going to do 2 scents that's available in per month. And if you don't like the scent, buy it in plain, buy it in nude. They'll be 2 ounces too. And they're really like a one and done, more of a beard and hair, almost like a conditioner, but like butter conditioner. So different oils, different carriers with the same sort of butters that I've been using as well. And some different kind of nut butters and stuff in there. Now, there's so many possibilities for this because it's a coverall. Put it anywhere you want. Night. Now, in other news, I have a crap load of hot sauce on the way that Rob found. He found this like obscene amount of hot sauces. It's like this hot sauce sampler he found from someone that I don't know who he knows. I don't know who it is. Anyways, there's like 60 bottles or something of hot sauce coming. So I don't know what he exactly wants me to do with it precisely, but I know what like my idea is. Like I was gonna do my my hot ones sort of thing, because the boxes of hot ones, I have to get them off Heatonist. That's who sells them. It's not like Amazon or anything like that. I don't really buy things like that from there. I would get them from a trusted hot sauce company, that also like does it by seasons, because I don't know what season of hot ones I'm going to do, but I'm doing some hot challenges and crap like that. And all the money is going to go to charity, and it's going to go for things that people like need and that are in need of, like especially unhoused people, especially as it's cooling off. Mitts, socks, blankets, like naloxone kits, like clean needles, like sharps disposal. So like there aren't needles going anywhere, like they're going in a sharps container so people can dispose of them if they're going to use. Call me a fucking hippie socialist all you want. Go for it. I don't care. But I think where we need to start is from the beginning. Like, we're like the ground up with harm reduction. And if we can start with harm reduction, we can solve a lot of problems. Just start with by starting with that. Starting with that, like safe sites for injection in case of overdose. Having nurses or people that are qualified there with naloxone kits giving out clean needles so we're not perpetuating the spread of infectious diseases and bloodborne pathogens and things of that nature. If people are going to use, make sure they're going to use, if they're going to use anyway, like make sure they're not doing it in public, like where you're not, like where you're bitching about, saying, oh, I hate seeing people shoot up on the sidewalk. So why against safe injection sites? You don't have to see it. And then they're not dying in the street. There you go. But there are a lot of people with another, echoing another rhetoric that's a lot different. Honestly, for the love of Christ, make these things available, and then, but also make sure there's access to these things, because no one's going to use these things. And the people that need them the most, need to make sure that they know that they're able to use them and access these places and these things and these resources for themselves. Because if they don't know they can use them and they don't feel they can, they're not going to use them. We didn't get anywhere by ostracizing anyone and pushing people away and pushing people out. We're not getting anywhere by doing that. We have a city councilor here that thinks that's a really good idea. Susan Stevenson from Ward 4. She has suggestions that we just jail the homeless people. Jail the homeless, But then she sits there and she quotes Angela Davis, who was like a Marxist and as well like a prison abolitionist. So she was really against sending people to prison, especially for things they shouldn't go to prison for, like, being unhoused. Since when is homelessness a crime? Since when is addiction a crime? Like, those things aren't a crime. They're hard. They're a struggle, but are they a crime? No. Can they throw you in jail for it? No. Again, like this woman's just going around like taking pictures of people that are unhoused and making memes out of them and just putting them on her Facebook. I'm like, that's like really shitty. Like, you get these people's permission, like to take pictures of their oppression and make fun of it. Like, a lot of virtue signaling going on, a lot of like white savior syndrome. Like, I need some power, so here it is. I'm going to do my flex. My love for my community is really big. So that's why I get amped up about this. It's really important to me to serve your community and really serve your community well without getting caught up in your own ego and your own, like, I feel all good and warm and fuzzy inside for doing this. It's not about you. It's not about you at all. When you're serving your community, it's about other people and the good you can do while you serve them and help them out. You know what I mean? Just, if you're starting to feel too warm and fuzzy inside and you start patting yourself on the back real hard, enter like fucking savior syndrome, mostly white savior syndrome, because this is something that generally happens with white people. Like, there is a doc on HBO right now about this. It's like a savior syndrome, like addiction sort of thing. And it's about Renee Bach, that evangelical Christian lady. She went over to Uganda, and in Jinja in Uganda, she opened a NPO, like a non-profit organization, called Feeding His Children. She saw the malnutrition in Uganda and saw the epidemic of malnutrition there and decided she was going to do something about it. Now, I'm talking like an untrained person doing medical procedures on people and like basically experimenting on them. Like, she's here trying to feed kids, but not knowing nothing about refeeding syndrome, knowing that you just can't feed starving children and expect them to get better. Like, no medical background whatsoever. And she like literally said, well, God doesn't really, like, he called us. He doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the people that he calls. I'm like, so you felt called by God, and so he just magically like transformed you into a doctor or a nurse? That's an almighty and powerful God if they can do that. That's fucked up. This woman's inserting IVs, taking blood, administering like medication that she shouldn't, second guessing medical professionals like doctors and nurses, like with not taking vital signs, doing a blood transfusion. So many women and children were taken by these white missionaries. And this is what I say about like white savior syndrome. It's white women, generally like from North America, that go over to these countries that are starving and things like that. And they're from North American countries where men kind of rule, and men are, the big dicks, big pecs sort of world that we live in, and men are superior and women are kind of the weaker sex. So women want to feel really powerful. So what do? They get involved with the church and they go over to Africa and they become missionaries, and this is how they get power, by like holding, black babies up and being like, oh, we're so great. We're saving these babies. No one asked for you to come over there and like take pictures of their kids and take pictures of their homes. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not normal. There's hospitals over there that know how to treat malnourishment better than you do, because it's happening in their country and they understand it. Just a lot of people have that, like I say, that white savior syndrome. They think they can save everybody, and you can't save everybody. That's the thing that sucks. But this Renee Bach woman she got really, really championed for what she did. And I don't think she should be championed for it. She killed something like 300 kids. They died on her watch from refeeding syndrome, most of them. And either refeeding syndrome or like getting a cross-contamination from tuberculosis and things like that. Refeeding syndrome is when you have a child that's severely malnourished or an adult that's severely malnourished and their electrolyte balance is off. And then all of a sudden you feed them a whole ton. You don't go like really low and slow with them. And then all of a sudden their electrolytes go, whoa, and their body goes like, I can't handle this anymore. So it doesn't. And then their heart stops because it's very hard on the heart. So refeeding syndrome is very like serious. And it's something that happens when you don't know and you're not qualified to do those kinds of things. So this woman, she was warned to stop times and times and times, so many times. Doctors, nurses, medical professionals, health professionals tried to shut her down. She was like, no, she did a DIY ICU. Like, ridiculous. And no question about it, this woman needs the fucking electric chair. She used little kids in Uganda like fucking science experiments. Like, they weren't even human. It's disgusting. And tell this all to like the moms that lost their babies. Like, the pictures of the mothers with the children are the most like heartbreaking things that I've ever seen, because they hear from their friends how there's this, brilliant white doctor. She got a stethoscope around her neck. What the fuck are they supposed to think? Brilliant white doctor who's saving little kids everywhere. Well, she's not saving everybody. It's not going to be happy endings for everybody, and she's killing kids. So they're just told, your kids are dead. We can't do anything for you. They file a lawsuit against her. What do they get? They get $9,000 each, just two women. There's two women where she killed their kids. $9,000 a piece. And the rest of it is like shut up money, like to make sure that this woman, Renee Bach, doesn't feel responsible and she wants to feel off the hook. They have to sign that she's off the hook of all this liability. That's pretty evil. Like, she needs to exonerate herself from this. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. So, like I say, I think it's disgusting. Now, other things disgusting. Trigger warning. Like I said, I talk about National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, which is September 30th, obviously, and Orange Shirt Day, residential schools. I can explain it as, children here in Canada Indigenous children were taken by the church and police and the government, and Indigenous children were forced into white schools run by nuns and the church and priests and stuff like that, and they were made to all dress the same and look the same and very colonized to be white. They weren't allowed their culture, their Indigenous culture. They had to throw all that away. And most of them that survived, I'm not going to say graduated, I'm going to say the people that survived from the residential schools, they all have scars, because most kids died in residential schools. And we're finding more and more graves all the time of children that passed away, like mass graves. So Canada's done some pretty bad things. We have a pretty dark past when it comes to residential schools. But like I say, listen to Indigenous voices, especially on this topic. Really important. So yesterday, I was going and I happened by a land dedication ceremony. Really beautiful land dedication ceremony. Like, drumming. Everybody's dressed in regalia. Like, there are indigenous people there and blessing the land that, because, I mean, we live on stolen land. Let's just face it. Like, we don't own this land. I don't own my land. I mean, we really don't. So I stupidly, like, kind of like asked my sister to come with me to this land dedication. And like, I'm just like standing there minding my thing and like listening and like clapping when it's time to clap. And just other than that, just being pretty quiet because it's a land dedication. It's important to sit there and listen, right? And oh my God, my sister starts losing her mind because there's like bees. We're in it like 5 minutes and there's a bee that's bothering her. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And then she's like, I'm leaving. I'm like, you're leaving? There's an indigenous land dedication for like every child matters. Like, what the fuck? Where are you going? Like, I didn't say this out loud because I'm like, not want to scream at her at a land demonstration. I'm just like, what? Like, where the fuck are you going to start? The bees are bothering me. I'm like, do you know what people went through in residential schools and the bees are bothering you? Okay, seriously? I was standing there, all things considered, allergic to bees, and I don't give a fuck. Honeybee doesn't give a shit. Like, also, seriously, othering your children. It's fucking weird. And othering is what I'm dealing with right now. I do not know how two kids can grow up in the same fucking house with the same core values instilled in them and be raised by the same parents, mostly. One can be logical, and the other one is a right-wing dink. And you know who you are. So let me get this straight. You want to live in a police state, have no autonomy. If you need to have an abortion, you want to be told that you're not allowed to have one. If you act crazy or any, like, out of sorts, they'll just throw your ass in jail. So, like, the police will just have the power to do that to you. You want to have all your decisions made for you by the government because this is going to protect your freedom. That sounds like the exact opposite. It's a bind, man. It's a bind, and it's a bird, and it's a plane, and it's super Karen. Like I say, I've been ostracized, written out of the fucking will this week. Ah, look out. Now I'm an orphan. So there's that. There's that when I talk about othering. Othering is when you treat one kid different than you treat another. Yeah, so there's that. That's cool. So anyways, I said I'd talk about falling in and out of love and those pitfalls, because falling in and out of love with a partner and, like, you know, whoever you're with, whoever your partner may be, or if you have multiple partners or whatever, like falling in and out of love, I don't really think it's a falling in and out of love so much as sometimes I think we fall in and out of like heavily and we just don't like each other, like, a lot at times. And then that's like the time where you need to, like, check your fucking self. Like, you need to check yourself. It's a slippery slope. It's a really, really slippery slope. And both of you, like both parties or however many parties are in your relationship, need to check themselves, because life goes in cycles and so do relationships. And you got to be really careful. Trust me. Some relationships and stuff like that, like, some have to end because there's no other way around it. Like, they need to end. There's no other resolution. But some can be mended. But like with most things, you need to start with a good balanced 50-50 talk, chat, get the communication, like, lines open, like, get the lines of communication open, like, that are, like, without judgment. Come to the conversation without judgment, without anger, without any emotion attached to it. Come to the conversation with no attachment and see where you get. You know what I mean? See where you go. We're not all fucking mind readers. You got to tell your partner or your partners what the fuck is going on. Otherwise, they're not going to know. We don't know. But falling in love with, like, people and friends and friendship and stuff like that shit happens to me, like, fucking all the time. Number one, because people can be fucking shitty, like literally just shitty. You can say, oh, hey, I haven't seen you in like a million years. Like, for instance, I was in Toronto like a few weekends ago. And I have friends in Toronto that like were like, hey, we're gonna like let's make time to hang out. And I had other friends that like knew I was in Toronto too. And they were just kind of just like, they kind of like just crept into the shadows. I'm like, okay, cool. I haven't seen you like 5 or 6 years, but cool. You're like around the corner from me. Cool. That's the kind of shit like that pisses me off when people are like fucking shitty like that, because it's just like, if you were here, I'd stick out my neck to hang out with you. And then number 2, I have no object permanence. Like I lack object permanence, and that's because I have ADHD, and meaning if there's not something that's like right in front of my face, my brain has a tendency to start like letting it go and starting to forget about it. Not totally like I don't forget about it, but like my brain lets go of it. It's really hard. It starts to lose track. So thank you, ADHD. But it's so natural for people to go in and out of your life. It's just so very natural. Like I say, life goes in cycles. It's a cyclum. It's a wheel, and it all goes in cycles. And some go in and out of your life. Some come into your life and never leave. Some people like have been in your life for a long time and they're gone and they never come back. Like it is what it is. People are in your life and they're out of it. Sometimes people have to leave forever. It's just the wheel. That is life. Don't fight the fuckery. If there's something that's toxic and driving you crazy and someone's treating you like shit and you just can't stand the craziness anymore, and if it's a constant battle to be around someone, just don't do it anymore. Seriously. It's not good for your mental health. It's not good for anybody. Just let it be. Like even the Beatles said so. Seriously, just let it be what it is and let it ride. Now, not quite like that completely, but yeah, like I say, you all know where to get me at. I'll be watching horror movies and stuff and getting ready and getting my kids together. They're all got colds and stuff like that, and I'm scratchy too. You know where to get me. You can get me at 21st Century Rocker Mom on Instagram. You can get me like on TikTok at the same thing, at 21st Century Rocker Mom. And if you go on Instagram, there's my link in my bio. It takes you to everything, including the grooming company, Rockaholic Grooming Company. It's like at the Rockaholic Grooming Company. Like I say, the link's in my bio. I'm streaming wherever you stream. My YouTube channel is Tandy Candler channel. Click subscribe. Stream, like I say, where you stream. If you do, just subscribe to wherever it is and you'll find me there. Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, all those things. Until I see you again, please be good to each other and probably be a little kinder than you should be. We need a little bit of that in this world. I'll catch you next time. Be good.